Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm a pseudo killer nigga, and I'm coming for your head. So scammers accountable for the pseudo shit that they spread. Ain't no more running, nigga. I'm pseudos to bed. I'm the boogeyman for these prayers, leaving these streets red. I'm a pseudo killer. No frauds, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killers. No flim slammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killers. I'm tired of the stalking niggas, steady running their mouth. Beating just on platforms, always loud and wildin' out. They ain't saying nothing, only begging for some clout. When I step in the rain, nigga, mama say knock you out. I'm a pseudo killer. No fraud, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killers. No flip flammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killers. If think you won't smoke, nigga, come and take your shot. It been a long time coming, nigga. Now show us what you got. I ain't tryna be friendly, nigga. Wipe ass off your face. This is war, nigga. Only one way to see it. Say goodbye to net. I'm a pseudo killer. No cross, no fake, no fillers. We straight pseudo killers. No flip flammer, hustlers and scammers. We pseudo killers. Science is undefeated, nigga, so we never lose. We always well equipped, nigga, armed with all the tools. Always ready for a pseudo, they always tryna pin the rules. BK stumping, go these clowns, got them looking like some fools. Fuck around and find out, nigga, you should've stayed in school. I'm a pseudo killer. No frauds, no fake, no sellers. Be straight pseudo killers, no flim flammer, hustlers and scammers. Be pseudo killer. Pseudo killer.
Peace, family. You know what it is. It's a Pseudo Killer's late night drive-by. Let me apologize for not having the housekeeping in order. Man, y'all need to join the Discord. Join the Discord. That's where we get it in. All right, and we should have been doing our homework. We would have had the thumbnail and all of that prepared. So I apologize for slipping on the technical aspects of the show. However, put that aside, it is the quality of the content, not the packaging. A lot of them try to reproduce the packaging, but it's the content that they always missing. And of course, y'all know, y'all see who's up on the screen. We got the anonymous Preem in the building.
Yeah.
And I want to say, like, we pseudo killers from Voltron. Don't care which combination you put us in. We are a deadly team. Shout out to Preem. You got some love in the chat from our demonstration and dismantling the other day. I'm not gonna take up too much of your time. It's already late, but I'll start the thumbnail, right? So I'm gonna turn the floor over to Preem. Preem, you got it. Do your thing, my brother.
All right, hold on. Let me share my screen. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. Am I doing the right thing? We should have did a dry run set. Hold on.
Yeah, just hit the the plus.
Hold on. Let me see the plus sign.
The plus sign in the middle. Screen is gonna pop up. It's gonna ask you what you want to share.
Oh, damn. All right, let me see. Yeah, let me see. Share
Once you
screen.
find what you want to share, so hit the share screen button, that plus sign in the middle.
Yeah.
Y'all don't forget to thumb up the show. Let everyone know Pseudo Killers are hitting you with a late night drive-by. the YouTube streets was quiet, and even if it wasn't quiet, they ain't present y'all with the quality of information that we present y'all with over here. So tell everybody to get in the building, like the show, thumb up the show.
Yeah. All right.
You
I
got
think
it?
yeah, I think I did. Let me see.
All right.
All
So
right,
now
let's
you're
see.
supposed to select it, hit it, and it's gonna ask you to
Uh,
share.
I did it wrong.
Take your time. Take your time.
We shouldn't have did this live, Seti. Oh man. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta go back, bro. Oh, hold on. Let me see. There we go. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
should be.
yeah. Got it.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Ladies
Yeah,
and
yeah,
gentlemen,
yeah.
without further
I
ado,
felt old. I'm feeling old. I'm feeling old. Yo, yo, yo. All right, dig this. Y'all know the conversation we've been having, man. I kind of thought it was dead. Said was killing this topic, but recent conversations is letting me know this one is needed. It took a while for me to do this. I was supposed to Ben did it. Um, but once I got into it, I realized, yo, it's so much information, and really, once I get into one, and you'll see once I get into the presentation, almost each section could have been its own presentation in itself. So, what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to not overboard, overload with too much information because it's so much. Is so much. And I guess maybe at some point later I could revisit some of the other stuff that I found. But for right now, I'm gonna keep it basic, and we're gonna go into a brief history of the scientific method. Um, Let me see. All right, so now, um, first thing we should do, define science. This has been a big thing in the community too. Um, so I'm going to define my terms straight up front off the top so it's no confusion. Can't nobody say that they didn't know what I was talking about. Can't nobody say that I was being vague or whatever. I wasn't clear on what I was talking about. This is Merriam-Webster definition. It's the first definition. It's the primary definition. Now, science is the knowledge or a system of knowledge covering general truths or the operation of general laws, especially as obtained and tested through the scientific method. And that last part is the key part of the modern definition, in my opinion. In my opinion. And if you know anything about how a dictionary is put together, the first definition, that's the main definition. That's the understanding that the contemporary people at the time of the dictionary, that's the understanding that when you say science, that's what they think you're meaning. Yes, it does have other meanings, but then you have to judge those other meanings with context. But I just want to be clear, for the purpose of this presentation, we using the A1 definition, the main one. It's the definition on your screen. It's the use of science, and I'm sorry, it's a system of getting knowledge. And the most important part to me, in my opinion, is the knowledge is obtained and tested through the scientific method. Um, this is what we're gonna go through here, one at a time. Now, it's been a lot of confusion in the context of our conversation about who has science and who doesn't have science. And to me, um, it's always been like an equivocation type fallacy, whereas though people aren't defining their terms clearly. So they're mixing and matching the context of the different conversations, and they're applying one definition here and another definition over here and another definition over here, but they're all using the same word to describe all of the different realities. And this is what I want to make clear. That's the goal of this presentation. By the end of it, I think it'll be clear that whether you choose to call everything science or not, um, the fact is you'll be able to understand the differences between the different areas as we compare and contrast, and we go through the different eras. But before we take a look into the eras, we need to pretty much define what the scientific method is. The first step is observation. Pretty much that's pretty simple, straightforward. We all have eyes, we all have a brain when it comes to Homo sapiens sapien, and actually not even Homo sapiens sapien. Observation was going through not only all the archaic humans, but even in the animal kingdom. If you think about it, that's how animals are able to master and adapt to their particular environment and survive and breed offspring, because really evolution, when you're speaking in terms of evolution, that's really the only goal, to reproduce. And animals have pretty much mastered how to make that happen, because they've been here since on different levels. They've been here from the beginning, whether it's ocean, land, just whatever. So that's the main goal. But even they use observation when you think about it. Elephants know where the water and hole is. They know where the good grass is. Lions share hunting methods. Certain animals use tools, like monkeys use tools to, get termites out of a termite mound, things of that nature. We've all seen the videos where crows use tools for water displacement and things of that nature. So they have basic tools of observation also, as well as the early humans. That's just pretty much that comes with being a sentient being, pretty much observation. But in the scientific method, observation is taken to another level, because now it's being done in the context of really trying to solve a problem in nature. Then the next question is, I'm sorry, the next point is ask a question. Now you've done all of this observation, and you get to the point where you want to ask a question. But when we're talking about this in the context of the scientific method, we are not talking about just like a general question, a general open-ended question like why, and that's just it. No. In context of the scientific method, the question has to be very specific. It has to be testable, and it has to be pretty much about the observation that you made. Then once you ask the question, now you have a starting point, and you conduct background research. Background research can come in many forms. If you're really a pioneer, it's not going to be much background research, and we'll see, through at various points in history, there wasn't background research to fall back on. Um, the next is the hypothesis. For um, in layman's terms, I was taught early that the hypothesis is the educated guess. It's not. It's based off of everything you watched, and the questions that came out of it, and whatever your research stated, and that will kind of dictate or form your hypothesis, and that'll dictate where you go. As I said, we'll go into a little bit more detail a little later. Then the next is an experiment. Now, this is this is a general term, but again, remember, this whole presentation is in the context of the scientific method. And when we're talking about an experiment, we're talking about a controlled experiment. We're talking about um, the proper environment. We're talking about, there's a mathematical element to the experiment. There's a number of controls, and then the data is collected with the variables. As the variable changes, the data is collected and in a very systematic and methodical manner. So there's a level of what may be considered an experiment in one time or another, and then what reaches the level of an experiment in modern times. Then once you do the experiment, you analyze the data, and pretty much that's self-explanatory. You draw your conclusions. Sometimes the data and your conclusion that may contradict your hypothesis. So um, the scientific method very rarely is a linear process. It very rarely just the first thing you come up with and you just get to the end and you go straight through. It's a lot of times, it's a lot of doubling back. It's a lot of sometimes you may have to adjust the way your experiment is designed. Sometimes you may have to drop, sometimes the data may totally contradict your hypothesis, and you may have to completely change um, your hypothesis in the way you approach with the way you approach the problem. So that all comes out in the wash. And the last part is communicate results. And this, quite honestly, you cannot really have this piece without the modern world. That's where it was pioneered. That's where the network was established. That's where there were protocols established in how and when and where information is shared and by whom, and and just pretty much how new information and new findings gets distributed throughout the scientific world. All right, that's pretty much the scientific method in a nutshell. Could have went a little bit more in depth on it, but I think I'll touch on the different more details as we go along. Let's see, what's first up. The first up is the hunter gatherers. Um, in the context of this conversation we've been having, man, at one point, um, actually at different points, at different stages in the conversation, you had people talking about everybody has science. Everybody has science. We always had science. As long as we had a brain, we had science. Blase, 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 blah. And in a rudimentary way, they are actually correct, because in that context, to me anyway, they were using science in its archaic format, where it just meant to know or knowledge. And of course, as long as we got brains, we got knowledge. But as I alluded to earlier, if that's just simple definition, then it's certain people in the animal kingdom that have knowledge. Bees, ants, and the list goes on. So at some point we have to draw the line, and that line, when it comes to science, is the scientific method. So the hunter gatherers, yes, they did some good things, though. They didn't. I don't want to make it seem like none of their or they did nothing, or they didn't contribute to the overall body of knowledge that humans have. They hit on observation, pattern recognition, basic hypothesis generation, testing via outcomes, trial and error, inductive reasonings to make predictions, and cumulative knowledge. um, the way, so pretty much, observation and pattern recognition, I think that's obvious. You got to know where the berries are. You got to know where the grains are. You got to know where the herds are. You got to know where the small games are. You got to know where the roots are. So over time, whatever tribe you're a part of, you gain a body of knowledge from that tribe, and that comes from observation and pattern recognition at the most basic levels. And again, this process even predates Homo sapien, because I'm pretty sure that in the overlapping of the different human species, that knowledge was passed on different, through different ways. And because again, no species pops out of nowhere. They pretty much develop out of what is before them. So all of that knowledge, all of that 2 million years of human existence before Homo sapien, all of that knowledge, gets passed on one way or the other, um, on to Homo sapiens. So we're not really starting from, we're starting from scratch. So they had basic hypothesis generation, nothing too complex, just basic if then. Once you learn certain things, You could predict basic outcomes that will help, like I said earlier, um, thinking that if you found a certain crop in one place, that once you get all you're going to get, if you come back the next season, it'll be there again, or the next moon, or however they actually track time back in those days. You know what I mean? Because they were pretty much in tune, and we know through different monuments that over time that they developed basic astronomy, being able to follow the moon and things of that nature. So they got, pretty much familiar with the cycles of the earth and the seasons and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, all of that involved reasoning and things of that the nature to make predictions, and the cumulative knowledge over time. Um, that pretty much led the way for Homo sapien to emerge, because they said it's a lot of theories. One of the most interesting theories about what contributed to the formation of Homo sapien was cooked food. And I always thought that was interesting, because that would, because it's wild when you think about it. Like, who was the first person to decide I want to put my food on the fire? Like, you know what I mean? Just putting myself in in that frame of mind, and like just thinking about what it would be like just being those people. So I always thought that was an interesting theory. Now, as great as the hunter gatherers were, and um I hope I painted in the short time that I gave them. I hope I painted the picture of how integral and how important they are to human history. Even like I said, even back to the archaic humans that predate Homo sapiens sapien, they all played a part in the knowledge that was collected and allowed Homo sapien to take over and flourish. Now, for all of they did, they missed a lot. They missed a lot. No systematic controlled experiments, no precise measurements, no formal record keeping, of course. And they had no writing, so no advanced math and no standardized peer review. Of course, everything was word of mouth. It depended on how big your tribe was. I'm sure that through trade that they learned different things from people, but it was a very, 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 very slow process, as we know, just from history, because it took a while. It took a long while. Like I said, the pre Homo sapiens, they were around for over 2 million years. And they were, they were doing their thing. They prospered. They lived a long time. Evolution, speaking in terms of evolution, but as far as advancements, there wasn't much. It was slow. I'll just say, I'm not gonna say it wasn't advancements. I'll just say it was slow, and it took a lot of time. So but those are the shortcomings of the hunter gatherers, and how they did not have science, because quite honestly, they didn't have the tools, they didn't have the capabilities, they just didn't have they didn't have the space, they didn't have the time. You're literally wandering around following food around, because really, that when you think about it, that's really what hunter gathering is. You're moving around, you're following herds, you're following vegetation, you're going where you're just going wherever you can eat at, and then that's wherever you're close to a food and a water source, that's where you're sitting down at. It's nothing. You're not tied to any particular place. You're not tied to any particular land. You're just moving and grooving and doing your thing. Um, so they didn't have, in their mind, they didn't have need for pretty much anything more than what they were doing, because it was serving the basic needs um of the clan. So we can move on. Next up is Kemet. I'm pretty much I want to say up front, I know it's different civilizations that I miss, Indus Kush, China, things of that nature. But I wanted to even Sumer, but I wanted to really like go to where honestly, when you look up the documentation, it's certain countries that they lean towards as far as innovators when it comes to the scientific method. And these are pretty much those countries or those civilizations when you're talking about the evolution of science in the West. So, Kemet, Egypt, we all know, the great monuments in this conscious community. This is a big thing. This is a sacred cow. And in my mind, this is Kemet is what caused most of the pushback to Ank's presentation, because the main thing is you don't black people in the conscious community, we hate to it. We don't want to admit that we were lacking in anything. And to me, honestly, we weren't. Obviously, as long and as great as that civilization was, they weren't lacking anything at all. But the fact is that they did not have science because they did not employ the scientific method as outlined by modern science. Now, they did a lot. They did a lot of things in medicine, astronomy, measurement, mathematics, experimentation, and record keeping. Um, of course, everybody knows about the Edwin Smith papyrus. That was a rubric for how to deal with trauma and surgery. That's pretty much an example of using empirical trial and error approach to solve practical problems. Um, they were great with engineering and architecture. Um, the way they laid out their cities, and the monuments that they built, the temples that they built, and of course the pyramids and monuments like the Sphinx and other things like that. They showed pretty exact. They showed a pretty sharp. They showed a pretty sharp eye as far as the measurements and lining things up, and being able to measure things like due north and things of that nature. Now, I want to get to that. I want to get to that one later. Yeah. Then of course, there's astronomy and agriculture, and that's where they use their geometry. Um, and both of them, they just mapped out the stars. They were able to do that, and the main thing was they were able to map out farmland and allotments during the floods and inundation of the Nile. And then that's how they pretty much established the boundaries of what crops go where and belong to who and who is responsible for it and things of that nature. So that's how they employ their knowledge of geometry and using natural landmarks to pretty much plot out their land. And when you know about the history of Kemet, the Nile and the farming, that pretty much was the lifeblood of the entire civilization. So uh, and last thing, they also had it's not natural science, but I'll include it as a formal science. The Rhine Papyrus. They had pretty advanced math for the day. They had formulas for volume. They had fractions. So they were beginning to get into the more abstract part of mathematics. And it was getting deeper than just counting widgets, keeping doing accounting things, being counting things, I like to call it. So they were actually laying the foundation and getting more theoretical with their mathematics, even though it was, pretty basic. So and they were also doing like practical problem solving that um in modern times we would use algebra to solve some of the problems, but they had their own algorithm and methodology for how to handle those types of things. So it's pretty interesting what they were doing, man. Again, for the time, it was great. I learned some nice stuff about what they were doing. I it did honestly, it did make me curious to get a little deeper into just how they went about certain things, but it was this we it, the last thing I want to do, I want to exalt these people so much, because the one of the main things that they keep saying that we're trying to do is we're trying to minimize, and we're going Eurocentric, and that's the last thing that I want to do. So it's no way that I would in any way try to minimize or try to say that these people were lacking in any kind of way. To last 4,000 or what, 4,000 years, whatever it was, to last that long as an entity, even though the last um millennia or so they were occupied, but to last that long as a single entity is unprecedented in human history when you think about it. China has an argument in that, and I'm sure Indus Kush, they also have a problem, argument, but even though they came later, but China and Indus Kush, they came later, but as far as lasting a long time. So anytime that you can do that, and while doing it with the flair and the style that they're doing it, to the point where people are fascinated by your civilization still to this day, you know what I mean, you got to give it to them, so no, so that was the hits, but um they did not reach the level, the full level of modern science. No theoretical framework, blah, 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 sorry, no theoretical framework, no controlled experiments, they no concept of falsifiability. They weren't searching for universal laws, they were just being practical. No standardized peer review, and Mott was the foundation of everything in society. Mm. Now, I don't want to go. I want to before I get before I go a little further, I want to address I want to address that last point first. To the Egyptian, there was no separation between them and the gods. There just wasn't. Um, that's the one thing I think that none of us have a problem with. And in fact, in the conscious community, that's one of the things that was trumpeted, and that's something to be proud of. But I hate to say it in the context of this conversation, that's part of the Achilles heel of Kemet. Because of Mott, they had everything as far as knowledge was tied into this temple system. And being in the temple system, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot, all of the things that you say about the modern scientific community is going on in those temples times 10, believe it. You know what I mean? So, and at the foundation of that is this concept where if you're going to innovate to a certain point, you're questioning the gods now at this point. Because if we did this thing, and it's been going on for X amount of years, pick whatever time frame you want to pick. And we've been saying the whole time that's the manifestation of God. That's the physical manifestation of Ma'at on earth. You got to understand how hard it is to change that framework and that state of mind. You know what I mean? So at the same time, um, with Kemet, I saw tradition eventually becoming a Achilles heel. Sadly, but even with that, look how long they lasted. So, um, let's see. One of the things they had, like, they were more concerned with like practical use, and they weren't really concerned with the theoretical aspect. In other words, they were more worried about how things worked, and they weren't too concerned with why things worked. Okay, because like one of the main things is they go back and they say, well, they had the Pythagorean theorem, and while they were able to use it, They didn't get to it by a squared plus b squared equals c squared. They got to it by understanding the relationship in the right triangle. And it just so happens that one of the primary one of the triangles that fit the Pythagorean theorem is 3, 4, 5. So how they would incorporate that into their measurements and their buildings and things of that nature, they would just have one unit of measurements, like whatever it is. You can apply this on every level. You can apply it in your house, you could apply it outside in your yard, and you can apply it in a field, and you can apply it in the cosmos. You take one unit of anything, put three of them there, put four of them, but put three of them vertically, put four of them along the XY axis, and then you got a right angle when the measurement of the hypotenuse or that diagonal is 5. And so, and you could scale that knowledge infinitely without having to have the theoretical knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem, and without doing complicated mathematics dealing with squares and square roots and things of that nature. So they were able to understand and employ that knowledge without having the deep mathematics that it takes to really understand that, because quite honestly, doing square roots and things of that nature, that's not coming for a few thousand years. So they didn't have the mechanisms to solve those mathematically, even though we would like to think that they did. They just pretty much didn't. um they also lacked controlled experiments. With their medicine, it's pretty much trial and error. We got Kemet. They were one of the best record keepers. Even with all of a lot of the records being destroyed, we still have tons and tons of that stuff. And so we have no record of them doing controlled experiments. There's no double blind tests. And let's be honest, even though they had the medical papyrus, they had a lot of magic they had a lot of magic and a lot of spells mixed in with their empirical methodology. So they were still, even though they were trying to, making progress towards science, they were still very steeped in um their tradition. And that brings me to the last point: no falsifiability. How do you falsify my, like, no, literally, that's a question. How do you when the gods have spoken, how do you falsify that? So um that become indoctrination, and tradition becomes a problem over time, and it leads to, I don't want to say stagnant, but it leads to a slower pace of innovation and creation. So and nothing lasts forever. um that's when you start getting invasions of people that's slightly more militarily advanced, and they start coming in, and pretty much that's the beginning of the end of the Egyptian empire. So that's pretty much Egypt. Yeah. Oh, one of the main things, I didn't want to lead this. I didn't want to lead this. I didn't want to lead this one. Um, I touched on this, but I'm not sure if I went far. See, the Egyptian, they everything was about utility. Everything was about utility. It was about religion, their religion, and utility. Management of the state, things of that nature. So they really were not concerned with figuring out why things were the way they were. You know what I mean? A lot of the times the why explanations was the gods. We saw, um just as an African concept, a lot of us, we saw divine energy in all of creation and everything. That's so, and the religion of the Egyptians, it kind of reflects that. So that's kind of where um a lot of their whys and hows, a lot of it was tied into their theology. So they weren't looking, a lot of times they weren't even looking for a natural cause, because they already had supernatural causes for most things, and to them that was the law. So um to them, Nu and Tefanu, etc., was their Big Bang. So to them, that was the real, and that was how it happened. So they had no inclination to look for that stuff, because quite frankly, to them, they already had the answers to a lot of that type of stuff. So they weren't trying to come up with, just the theory, just the theory of things. They weren't too they weren't going too far. Plus, they were limited by their mathematics, because as you see, um science kind of goes the development of science kind of goes hand in hand with the development of mathematics. And we will go on to the next step. Greece kind of gets, in the Western world, Greece kind of gets all of the credit, kind of, for laying the foundation of Western civilization. Greece is who the Caucasian looks to when they're looking for their birthplace ideology. As far as ideology goes, that's where they go. They just revere Greece, and it's not without reason. Can't front on them just because they, maybe maybe from another, mm, my bad, from another race. Can't hit. um can't front. Their hits, they had a foundational framework. That foundational framework was natural philosophy. It came to be known as natural philosophy. um it fundamentally changed how previous civilizations looked at things. They pretty much, over time, through their different schools of thoughts and different philosophers, they kind of removed the mystical from the natural. And by the time that their civilization was at its, you know, by the time it's all was said and done, they were pretty much at the point of natural causes for natural effects. So they had systematic observation, they had logical reasoning, mathematical deductions, and of course, as I just said, natural causes over mythology. Um, the Greeks, man, they did the damn thing, man. They did the same thing. Let's start off with empirical observation. Now a lot of that was in like biology, botany, things of that nature. It was they did a lot of astronomy. They had um a very early organization for oh my goodness, taxonomy. Yeah, taxonomy, that's the word I was looking for. So they were already in the port and at the point of putting life in categories and trying to figure out kind of what was going on. um they really advanced with through the Socratic method and Aristotle and those guys. They really advanced hypothesis forming. Just the method of dialogue, the Platonic schools. That's kind of what they're famous for. Philosophy, I think, and therefore I am, and all that nonsense or whatever. But um, so that's really where they shine, because what they do um is they really kind of start trying to make thought systematic. As I said earlier, they're trying to figure out natural causes for natural effects for natural phenomena. So um and they're dying over it, actually. Some of them, because they are going against the established order. They are removing God from the equation. They are um going against certain decrees, and so that makes them guilty of quote unquote blasphemy, sedition, things of that nature. So a couple of them, they lost their lives. They lost their lives for thinking what they're thinking and promoting it. Because the transition, when you're overturning, when you're overturning a tradition that's that deeply rooted in your society, that's things can get violent. Things can get violent. So they were really good at forming at making an educated guess, and that's kind of really where they shined. It was to the point, as you'll learn further as I go on, that's kind of almost where they stayed at, and they were like content to pretty much just go back and forth all day and really get to the nuts and bolts of why do we think the way we do? Are we really getting to the truth? They were really concerned with right thinking, and are we really figuring out the way things are? And you could just see the beginnings of just the scientific wheels turning, really from a theoretical level. I want to emphasize that I'm not saying that they started everything. I'm just saying they were beginning. This was the beginnings of the theoretical framework, of the mental framework that ended up becoming the scientific method. Um, he did a lot of contrary. We was going. Oh man, they did a lot of deductive reasoning. They were pioneers in that. Man, I want to say it was Aristotle. I get them all mixed up, and I forget. Sometimes I forget exactly which one did what, but I think Aristotle was the one. That established the deductive reasoning. Um, um, I'm sorry, man. I'm just laughing at the day we had going up against this guy in the server, man. It was just funny. It was just funny. It was just funny. And also lastly, they start honestly working with mathematical models, man, because now you're getting them to not only understand that certain mathematical relationships can be applied to the real world and they actually work, but they're also starting to figure out why, because you get your Euclids and your Pythagoras and your people like that, um, and people like that, and they start laying the foundation for modern mathematics, pretty much. And I already said this, but yeah, they start the focus really on natural causes over mythology, and that's just that break. That one right there, that's dangerous. That's the one. That's the one in certain times that gets you killed, and it's really flat out, point blank, period. And quite honestly, things like that, just for different reasons, just for religion, that was happening, you know, happened for 1,000 years after that. So it did. That's a problem that, and honestly, this is still really going on today if you think about it. The Greek misses. Logical reasoning over empirical verification, no controlled experimentation or empirical validation. They held on to established maxims in the face of empirical evidence and no organized peer review system. Um, I kind of hinted to this earlier, but they really, 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 really pretty much favored logic and reason and being able to go back and forth over empirical verification. Sound familiar? Conscious community? But I ain't gonna go there. Um, that's kind of, like I said, they really kind of almost lived at the hypothesis stage. Of course, they made some observations as far as astronomy wise and as far as biology. But if you've had if you got a little bit of a science background, and if you at least had the foundational courses, you'll realize that like the astronomy courses and the biology courses, they're really a lot of lot of memorization, because things have already been discovered and categorized, and really those topics are really with you understanding the categories and where everything fits, whether you're talking about life, whether you're talking about the stars. That's primarily what your focus with on those in that coursework. Whereas like chemistry and physics, that's when you really getting into the nuts and bolts of the synergy of mathematics and science. So they were more on the, more on the, they're getting there, they're not to the nuts and bolts yet, because again, the mathematics um doesn't exist really to do in-depth scientific work, but they're getting there because they got Euclid, they got Pythagoras, but they're more on the geometry side. But again, they are getting there. um no experiments, no no experiments, no controlled experiments, um no type of validation, no double blind studies, etc., etc. None of that type of thing was going on. And of course, they had no organized peer review system, because really there wasn't much, even if it existed, there wasn't much to peer review, because their um their scientific put it this way, I don't want to do a misnomer, their natural philosophy community, even the ones that were dealing with what would be foundational science, um it was mainly rhetorical. It was just mainly, it was literally who could make the best argument, and whoever made the best argument, that's what we rolled with. Yeah, no need to test it. No need to test it. You know what I mean? And it was to the point where um they would get so attached to these theoretical positions that even when they came across empirical evidence that went against the theoretical position that they had previously taken, it would still, they wouldn't say, oh my god, we were wrong. They would think the observation was wrong. You know what I mean? And one of those, and an example of that is they held on to the geocentric model for a long time after that mathematical framework, it just never fit. It never fit. Their mathematicians had to do all types of crazy stuff to make the geocentric model work, but they held on to it just because, in theory, in their mind, logically, that's how the universe should work. We were, man, we full of ego. Everything is about us. We in the center. It's got to be. Zeus said it was. So, you know what I mean? So, pretty much that's Greece. Yeah, we're getting there. We working towards it. We working towards it. They, they made a good effort. But so now we're gonna go next to Arabia, the House of Wisdom. And you notice Rome was left out for a reason, because when you think about it, this is not a racial thing. And if you think about it, Kemet, Africans. Then we went to Greece. We went to Greece. That's, Eastern Europe. Now we at Arabia, the House of Wisdom. We getting closer. We getting closer to modern times, because right after this is the scientific revolution. So now when you talk about, if you really want to be a racist, you're two European um talking about two European civilizations that passed the baton, and um two civilizations of color. All right, we even. All right, damn, motherfuckers. Mm, mm, my bad. Okay, so now we at Arabia, the House of Wisdom. Um, this was these guys. After a while, when the other side realized that they really didn't have no win with the ancients, and so, it took a while. We was boxing them in, boxing them in, boxing them in. Um, a lot of them fell on the House of Wisdom, and this is where they tried to make their line in the sand. But it was close. It was close because, as you will see, the hits, empiricism, systematic experimentation, precise mathematical calculations, internal peer review among colleagues, and they excelled in optics, astronomy, and medicine. Their resume is long. If you didn't know, the Arabian House of Wisdom, it was pretty much a translation house. They got in power. The caliphs, they were, they were about it. They were about gaining knowledge. They were about collecting all of the works around the world, collecting all of them as much as they can, and translating them. And so, of course, that led them to obtaining the Greek classics, and that was one of the main things that they translated. They got all of the ancient wisdom, and that pretty much was the foundation of their own research. So they would, get all of this, get all of this stuff translated, and as they're translating it, they're adding on to the work, because and they are the ones that pretty much went from natural philosophy to empiricism. They kind of really started the shift. Um, they, like I said, systematic experimentation. They went through. What was the I don't want to get his name wrong. I'm about to say something wrong. I don't even want to. Al Haytham. Yeah, that's it. Al Haytham. What he did with optics and light and the eye and vision. He came across. He did that through experimentation, and um, while while it was ancient times, his work held up to modern scrutiny. So um, they were doing really, 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 really good work. They were using empirical observation. Their astronomers were top notch. I think they were the first ones in the world to build dedicated observatories. And the thing about it is, this is really the first time in history, well, not really the first time, because technically in Egypt the state was the state was the priesthood. So this, so I guess they kind of did it, and did it back then on a different level. But the caliphs were really, really behind these guys. Like I said, they built the first dedicated observatory. um and the result of that is a lot of the stars in the sky have Muslim names, because they were discovered by people around this time, you know what I mean, who were financed by the caliphs and who were pretty much working in conjunction with the House of Wisdom. So they did a lot. As far as math, we all know algebra. Um, we call our numbers the Arabic numerals, even though, and that's part of why I mentioned the other civilizations, because they got their numbers from the Indus Kush civilization. So I want to say they got the basic numbers from them and added zero, or they just took the whole thing. I'm having a blind spot. I'm not sure really, but the way I remember it is they got 1 through 9 from the Indus Kush, and they came up with the concept of zero. Um, that's the way I remember it. I could be wrong. I won't die on that hill. I know it's a lot of vultures out there trying to have an aha moment. So if that's your aha moment, you got me. My bad. Um, yeah, so and they take these numbers and they start getting more advanced on the theoretical side with the math, to the point where they are developing algebra. So and not only are they um developing algebra, hold on, this guy, I had to write these down because it's no way I would get these names right. Al Khwarizmi, I think that's his name. So he started applying algebraic and algorithmic framework to prove certain scientific concepts on a theoretical level with math. So again, these guys, they're making advancements. They're making discoveries in worlds and things like optics and astronomy and things of that nature. And then they're advanced in mathematics. They pretty much invented one of the foundational, actually, it is, when you think about it, the foundational method of advanced mathematics. When you start getting past basic multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, fractions, and decimals. And once you get past that, it's algebra. So they that's a major accomplishment, and the greatness of that cannot be understated, because again, this whole thing is a house, and so far I'm going through the different floors and the different foundations. You know, we started with actually, when you think about it, we started with the pre-humans, the archaic humans, Homo erectus, and all of them, for laying that's the foundation when you think about it. And then, you know, Egypt is the first floor, is the ground floor that built off of their foundation, you know, and so forth and so on. So we building the house of science right now. Everybody got a floor, everybody played a part. um as great as the Arabian House of Wisdom was, they had misses. They didn't do, you know, they didn't do everything. Um they did not have a concept of falsif falsifiability. They lack modern falsifiability, no double-blind experiments, and no standardized peer review outside of their own system. Yeah, see, and then if you notice, the misses are getting smaller and smaller as time goes on. They were right there. They were right there. They just didn't take those last few steps, you know, just to kind of, but quite honestly, when you think about it, they couldn't. You know, they could have did, you know, been more efficient with the experiments maybe, but they didn't have the concept of falsifiability. That didn't come for a long time after. And no standard peer review. I don't think even the network, I don't even think the possibility of that existed back then, because it would have required a level of peace and communication through the between the empires. And quite honestly, the empires were more spread out back in those times. Well, then again, maybe not in the House of Wisdom time, but they just weren't connected. So pretty much it was just no infrastructure there to have a modern peer review system. So again, House Arabia, very, 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 very close, but they just lacked some of the modern tools that quite honestly were not in existence all the way yet. And once we get into the scientific revolution, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So now we here. Pretty much we saw what the scientific method was. We saw what each civilization, each major contributor to the scientific revolution. We saw what they had, we saw the pieces that they lacked. So um so now we got something to compare and to contrast, and I just challenge folks to really look at the differences um between the eras. And again, the differences to me, they aren't one does it it's not a concept of inferiority. It's for the time they did their part. That's the part that they had to play at that time. They took it where they need to take it, because you can't just jump from being a hunter gatherer to going to the moon. It don't work like that. Everything in nature evolves over time, and we are no different. Even though we're still Homo sapiens sapien, with them being Homo sapiens sapien, we are evolving as far as our culture, how we're living from day to day, going from a hunter gatherer to a modern technological society. So um and we're still evolving, because things going to get more, you know, we might devolve a little bit, but you know, we going to keep it pushing. Um so now we're talking about the scientific revolution, and we're talking about Francis Bacon. 1620, he pretty much got the ball rolling in Europe. He pretty much got the ball rolling. Um, he wanted to formalize the empirical method based off inductive reasoning. And he said science has to be built on tangible, observable data. Um, this is now he's really they're really getting to the point where they're influenced by the Greek societies. They're aware of what's going on at the House of Wisdom and things of that nature. So they have that foundation to build on. They have that, they're already, it's like quite honestly, Europe got when you're talking about science, Europe got the ultimate alley-oop. When you think about it, a lot of people, somebody got the steal, somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody shook a couple motherfuckers, you know what I mean? Somebody made the pass, and then somebody, you know what I mean? And they just threw Europe the alley-oop. And that's all they had to do was get up there, because they 6'10". They 6'10" because between the slave trade and opium, they got so much goddamn money. They got time to chill. They got time to invest. So this is where we at. So now Francis Bacon, he really changing the paradigm. He get the ball rolling. He's like, all right, y'all, listen, we strictly on natural cause and effects, and he starts to lay the foundation of this is how we going to do it. Galilei and Kepler come around. Let's see, they say we're going to combine mathematics. We're going to really get deep and combine mathematics with the experiments, because now again they got a bigger toolbox to work with. You know what I mean? They got mathematics is starting to get a little bit more advanced. At this point in their time, they have algebra, they have the Euclidean, they have Euclidean geometry. So they making a little bit of advancement, so they're able to apply it more in their experiments when they're trying to figure out things. Somebody like Descartes comes along, and to me, he added to it philosophically, but for me, I'm a math guy, so this guy is important to me with his Cartesian mathematics and how he laid the framework for graphs and all of that nature. And yeah, he was trying to find God. He was trying to find God, but he didn't while he didn't find God, he created a tool that's again still in use today. And we could not do advanced mathematics without the contribution of Descartes. We just really can't do it. Just the simple graph and the things and the implications of it. If you've had any level of math, um, you know how important it is. Recognizing that a straight line doesn't have an exponent. Once you get a square, it's a parabola. Then once you get a cube, that has a certain behavior, and then and so forth and so on. So it's like seeing those patterns. That's what made Descartes say, "Hold up, this is the language of the gods." Just seeing a parabola form, and you know what I mean, and then realizing that r squared is the graph of a circle, and then you could graph certain points and this and that. So it's like, wow. So, and you got the implications from Euclidean geometry. So you got a better understanding of geometry, and then you're seeing how these algebraic expressions, how they translate visually, and he's seeing to him, he's seeing spirits and shit. But what he's really opening up to is the connection between mathematics and the natural world, and how they actually do relate, and kind of like we could understand the natural world through math. So those guys, they were really, 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 really important in that respect. Then of course we got Newton. The nigga they love to hate. Newton been getting a lot of backlash lately. But he's still that dude, man. Um, he came up, but he pretty much oh, no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. And this is very, very important. This is very, 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 oh man, I gotta go back to my notes because I want to get it right. Okay. In 1665, the Royal Society of London publishes the first scientific journal. Now, what this does, it's important. What's in the journal, it don't matter. What it did was set a precedent. It set the precedent of how scientists would report their work, would publish their research and share it with the scientific community. That first journal, that was the foundation of peer review. And quite honestly, to me, peer review is the most important concept in the scientific method because it takes out the bias. I'm not talking about at the commercial level where corporations are buying studies and things of that nature. I'm talking about at the level on the frontier, at the level where scientists are actually trying to discover shit, because that's where the important stuff go. That's where the important that's the stuff that takes us, that's the stuff that advances us as a society. So at that level, when you're talking about the frontier, when they're really trying to figure out, you can't slide no nonsense through, because even if you get it through in your shop, once you get out the shop, you got no control of it. And that's what while the House of Wisdom, they had internal peer review, yes, but it was all within their educational system. So they really didn't have any outside input or any outside critique. It was all within their cocoon. And even in the early days of the Royal Society of London, they experienced that, because when Newton published his work, they just rubber stamped it, bang. Ain't nobody here can't nobody here say nothing to him, because he already had a reputation that he was the smartest one out of all of them. So it wasn't nobody in his cipher to really challenge what he did, to the point where it took him it took a couple of decades for his work to actually get reviewed by other competent scientists. So but yeah, that journal, publication of that journal, that's really, really important, because it laid the groundwork for what would be a global peer review process. Sir Isaac Newton, the guy, he pretty much formalized his approach in Principia, and specifically the part I want to say, I don't know if it's a chapter or whatever, but it's called the Rules of Reasoning in Philosophy, and it kind of established the blueprint for what will become the modern scientific method. Uh, Testable mathematical models. The discovery of calculus. He did it independently with another guy. Oh man, I told myself I would remember this dude name, and I did what everybody else do. My man been forgotten by science. It got to be noted that they both did it independently, but because of all the other stuff that Newton did, he kind of gets more press, and I really do feel bad right now that I did it, because I know the guy's name, but I oh man. But yeah, so in a long story short, they created calculus. Um major accomplishment. If if you've had any chemistry, if you've had any physics, you know what I'm talking about. You cannot do advanced science without advanced mathematics. They literally go hand in hand. And Newton and this other guy, they're what made that possible with the creation of calculus. So that accomplishment alone cannot be overstated. Um, Pretty much he you know what I mean, he laid the goal of being, we're trying to figure out universal natural laws, we're trying to understand how things work. The things that we coming up with, we want it to work no matter where we are, no matter who does it, as long as gravity should apply from no matter where. It should be a universal law. Gravity is going to apply no matter where we're at. So you know what I mean, he laid the foundation for stuff like that. um Measurements, just with him that well with him is the framework. But again, me being a math guy, I'm kind of more partial to um I think about just how how complex calculus is. And to think about it didn't exist before you sat down. And then when you got up, the shit existed. That blows my mind. That blows my mind. That I'm thinking, because before I learned that he actually did it, and those two guys that they did it individually, I'm thinking it's something that like kind of evolved over time. But the concept again, you got to go through them exams and come out lightheaded in them damn blue books, man, to really understand where I'm coming from. If you had that experience filling up a blue book and coming out lightheaded like you high, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, Newton was that guy. And then we got Sir Karl Popper. He came along in the 20th century, and he pretty much brought into the concept of falsifiability. That's another concept that should be embedded into the experiments. Not only do you have to prove yourself right, you have to show the mechanism of how you would prove yourself wrong. So you kind of got to give the people that hate you bullets. That's pretty much what it is. You got to give people the ammunition that they need to prove whatever you're trying to say wrong. So, that's a late addition to the scientific method. But the scientific method, while it's important, and it's definitely a cherry on top, the scientific method was fully functional, as you can see in the last couple of 100 years. That's we've our body of knowledge as humans has gone up exponentially. And you know what I mean? So the proof is in the pudding. You know what I mean? We got all the other systems or whatever. Like in doing this, I was like, man, you know what? When you think about it, like Egypt, like all right, like the hunter gatherers, they were just applying indigenous knowledge to wherever they was at, and whatever they did, that was just applied indigenous knowledge. Once you get to Egypt, their whole thought system, their society was built around the concept of Ma'at. And really, so what all of the stuff they did, that was pretty much applied Ma'at, because you cannot remove that system from the body of what Egypt is. As far as Greece, you got applied natural philosophy, because that's what they were using at the time. They were using the natural philosophy. They were, they had one foot in and one foot out. Same with the House of Wisdom. That's pretty much the hybrid, that concept of early Islam with natural philosophy, and the House of Wisdom, and how they compiled all of that knowledge, and then just didn't sit on it. They added to it. That's a beautiful contribution, until you get all the way up to the day, the scientific revolution, and we pretty much are where we are. Put the sources up on the screen. Resources compiled by the University of Cambridge Department of History, the Philosophy of Science, the World History Encyclopedia, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and Origin of the Scientific Method, a paper by Frederick Betts, Portland State University. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got. I know it's kind of long, but I was trying to keep it short. But yeah, that's it. Uh,
Excellent presentation, bro.
yeah. Let me see. Let me
Did your
stop
thing,
sharing.
did your thing, did your thing, did your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
Excellent
yeah.
presentation. As usual, I'ma drop the link in the chat because I want to see if you're gonna get any pushback because that was I
We're
mean
gonna
to say
see.
it was
It should
it
be at
was a
least one. Should be at least one, unless Roy Chess burnt out.
oh man, oh
Ah,
man.
but yeah, man. I just wanted to, and now at this point, man. All right, I guess my final thesis would be, at this point, I don't care what y'all choose to call it. I don't care. Y'all could say science. Y'all could call everything science. But deep down after this presentation, y'all know it's a difference. And it's not a small difference, it's a significant difference. And again, the proof is in the exponential increase in human knowledge since the scientific method has been employed. It's not the white man's science. That's mythology. It's the science is a global movement, and there's global participation. So hopefully my presentation speaks for itself, and you know what I mean, and and hopefully it kind of put to bed if you had any questions, and hopefully it contributes to putting to bed this whole argument about what is science, because I think I put together a nice presentation, and I think it kind of explained our position as far as what we mean when we're talking about science. You know.
Go
What
ahead, Savior. Go ahead,
what
Savior.
up?
Good work. Good work,
What up?
yo.
It was a great presentation, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. Because
How the hell
no
you
matter
cut in front of me, Savio? What the fuck is going on, this motherfucker?
He
I was
was up
on it,
here
I was
first,
here
though. He was
first.
up here first.
The nigga first don't got shit to do with it. Shit. First, second, third. Man,
uh,
please.
Are you feeling rank on me?
yeah,
I
man.
got
Yeah, it's pseudo killers. Pseudo killers go first.
you.
Then you can jump in that motherfucker before you mess it up. Now I'm playing with you. Go, yo.
Go ahead, Savior. Go ahead.
Oh man. Go ahead,
But
Savio, man. You done see you done scared the man.
You need to knock it off.
um, but yeah, like I was saying, it was a great presentation, and
Thanks, bro.
it doesn't matter from what I've recognized from going over to TikTok and listening to these fools on TikTok, excuse my French, and listening to these idiots, and going into these different back chats and listening and going to different shows. The facts doesn't override the belief. The
This is
facts
true.
don't override the belief, and that where we have to move the argument from. We have to stop presenting them with, we have to present them with facts, but we also have to ask them or inquire, are your beliefs more important than facts and what aligns with reality?
Deductive reasoning. That's all I'm gonna say.
They get tripped up on the simplest stuff, bro. They get tripped up. It's like they see, the thing about it is what we dealing with, because they think they have the facts.
They think
They
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 have facts.
they think they have the truth on their side. So how do we deal with that?
No, it
You
ain't
know what I
they
mean?
think, they believe.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
believe. They re
Wholeheartedly.
and see, here go the crux of the conversation. And I think we've been missing it. They replaced the word think with believe.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a belief system. It's an ideology. I've been saying that for a minute, man. Like those, like all of them guys, like I said, we pretty much all came here um the same way. It was through some type of black consciousness movement, or if you wasn't part of some type of movement, you at least, maybe it was your religion, maybe it was, or maybe it was just your interest in black history. But we all came here that way. So that's a lot of people identity when we dealing with this. I play not, well, not him, he ain't playing, but just his name, God Killer. You attacking people identity. So just you being out front, they don't want somebody named God Killer to win, bro. So it's
It's
like,
not even about the attack of identity though.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
more
yeah.
about the attack. It's more about the attack of belief. Because I remember one of the very the first conversation that introduced me to this community. It was about the word believe. You remember that?
We was on Garfield platform.
Let's go. The
Uh-huh.
word believe. It was about the word believe, and we had and it was like a 2 week argument over the word believe.
Mhm. Yeah,
Wow.
True
But it
yeah.
is what
justified,
it is, man. That's how they, that's the community
true
we in, man.
justified belief versus faith,
Yeah.
which is
Bingo.
not grounded.
When are your beliefs justified? Should I believe that the sun is coming up? Is that a justified? Is that a justified belief?
Yep, it's a justified
Man.
belief.
But
Well,
so
is
it's
Based,
my
based
belief
on
justified that there's a teapot floating around Venus?
no, absolutely not.
You know
Then I
what?
see the
believe that.
difference.
I would actually say we don't give people a whole bunch of facts. Actually, what Preem was doing was he was actually teaching because after a while you start to realize that we're actually fighting against the ignorance that exists in all of us, and
I
so
agree.
facts don't overturn your ignorance.
I
Hmm.
Understanding the subject, right, and teaching people when you start to learn things, right. So if you learn the difference between what a theory is and a scientific theory is, and you start to learn that science uses a whole different language, and it might use the very words that you used to have it, right. And so when you somebody got beat out. So I think when you start to teach people, and they can start to kind of comprehend. So giving them facts, I mean, hell, Dr. Benham gave you facts, right?
right.
Or what we thought was facts. They threw a whole lot of bit, right? But they, they couldn't get to the position where they was actually teaching us something, and we thought they was teaching us something. But the really, when you teach somebody something, you show them how to get to the damn information.
Right.
Giving them a whole bunch of facts is crazy, right? Out of order facts, misinformed facts. We start to recognize, well, you got to teach people how to get to the information. How do we get to the information? What system do we use when looking at this information so we can critique it? What is the source? Primary source, right? Tertiary source. Like, what are all these things? Like, what does it mean? And so when we started putting that together, right? A pattern of understanding things, a way of getting to stuff. Okay, so now, since you're the best speaker around us and you sound the clearest, right? But wait a minute, can you back up what you're saying? Is there a source attached to that? Right? And once we got community used to looking at sources, then it's not only looking at the sources, is it a credible source? Or if the source is credible, right? And we figured this out early in the game, that once we got people into a pattern of bringing sources, then the real issue came with, watch this, comprehension of that said source. We recognized that the source never said what the person was actually saying because they couldn't comprehend the words that was on the damn source. We went through that today, that the word purely killed the person. It
The
killed him.
word what? The word what?
Purely. Killed him.
Period.
Like he was done. Purely,
P-U-R-E-L-Y.
purely,
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 P-U-R-E-L-Y.
purely. Yes,
no,
purely.
Oh
purely.
Yeah, he
no, no.
couldn't. It killed him.
Y'all gotta
It,
be shit.
no, no,
Nope.
it stumped him.
Made him miss the whole
Stumped him.
meaning of the sentence.
Oh
Remember
wow.
would have? Remember would have? Would have
Yep.
killed him. What was the other word, Cedric? There's another one.
Alongside. It was
Alongside.
alongside.
No, no, no. I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what the wrong is. What did he
Uh,
say? He
uh,
said, what was that word that killed him? Killed
it
him.
was it was purely. He couldn't get around it.
No, no, I'm talking about the wrongest. Come on, yo, focus with me.
Oh, the wrongest. Oh,
Yeah, yo, the word killed him.
The
Killed him.
wrongest you called the man the wrongest?
Killed him.
You talking about
Killed
the
him.
truth, you stupid.
I don't know who you talking about. I don't know who you talking about, Sabian. I don't know who you talking. I'm talking about the wrong.
it was
Where
it
the hell
was
you talking about?
it
Because
was
the
the
word,
sentiment
the word
of the
killed him.
Oh
women.
my
The
God.
women.
What was
Uh,
it? What was it? Because we were talking about the women, how early women, okay, was kind of, he thought it was science, right?
yeah,
And it was
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about how it was religion. It was like spirituality and early women was actually, he didn't realize that it was both those items. The
Along
women,
with
along with, the craziest shit ever, yo. It seems like those
Along
small
with,
little words, yo, stump
along
a
with,
person. Yeah, yo,
along.
he didn't realize that spirituality, along with women, right, was the early way of gathering information. It fucked them up. Excuse my
Come
language.
on,
It
man.
killed them. It killed them. It
Nah,
killed them. Just
nah,
like would have. Hold on.
nah.
Remember we spent 2 weeks on would have? Y'all remember that? Would have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, them words
Yeah,
fucked up
yo.
by
Hey,
guys
yo.
Hold
everywhere,
on,
Hey,
no,
hey,
man.
no,
hey.
no, 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 no. Stop. Y'all just spent 2 weeks on the word would have.
Yeah, where the hell was you
Would have.
at?
You
Where
mean the
was you at?
Yeah.
conjunction would have?
that was
The
in the Black
That
Would
was
conjunction
have.
Reggie.
would have.
What? And wasn't that Reggie?
the
Yeah, that
Black
was
Hebrew
Reggie. No,
That was
that
Reggie.
was
conversation.
Reggie. That
Yeah.
was
That was
Smash. That was
Reggie.
all.
Yup.
No, it was Smash,
Oh,
Reggie,
y'all gotta
all of
stop.
them, yo, all of them. Still to
Yup.
this day, still. Now Reggie, I said Reggie, I swear to goodness, yo, I'm never going to talk to you again. You went to college, yo. You know what the hell? You know that when Serteron said that the Egyptians would have called them black people, would have don't mean they did. He said, but they never did it because of such and such and such and such. I said, you know what the word would have mean. And he
Yup.
said, you know what? You're right. But everybody else, to this day, they
Y'all
still
got
think would have mean they actually did it.
y'all gotta stop.
No, no, man.
The
Bro, I'm
motherfuckers.
telling you.
I'm like,
Either
no.
they,
No, we learned
either
the
I'm
they
like,
lesson,
so
bro.
no.
biased, either they so biased they can't see, or they functionally illiterate. One
I,
or the
it,
other.
I think it's both. I think it's both. I think people focus on. I know pronouncing words are very important. It makes you more dynamic as a speaker. But a lot of times the words we're reading are Greek words coming from Greek and different language. And sometimes we just mispronounce them. There are some people amongst us that will memorize that shit 100 times and
Mm-hmm.
say it crystal clear. But
And
put
don't know
that
what the
word in a
hell they
sentence
talking
and they
about.
fall
Yeah.
apart. Yeah, they fall apart, bro.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's a, it's
We
a,
seen it
it's the
today.
tell. We've seen it
hey,
today, yo. It's the tell. It's the
Yeah.
tell, yo. It's
Yeah.
the
since
ultimate
you
tell.
on, since
Comprehending
you,
a come on, yo. Let me finish.
Yeah.
my
Comprehending
fault.
a sentence, right, is the hardest thing to do, bro. Because for me, reading comprehension is king. The way you comprehend the sentence, for me, right, is the way you understand the damn paragraph. If you don't comprehend the sentences, then you can't comprehend the paragraph. The way you comprehend it, yo, for me, it is a thing that people lag when it comes to science and science literacy. Man, end it right there.
So, so what's been one of my big things since you've been knowing me? Knowing what words mean, the meaning of words, right? Haven't I've always been strict on that and stuck on that? I've always talked about the spelling bees and all that shit I want. Because I had to know what the word meant, where it come from, the stem, the root, the all to win a spelling
That's
bee, you gotta know
that's
that
the
shit.
key. That's the core, man. That's the core in all of this, man. It's messed up because we so in a rush we're so in a rush for the new information. A lot of us really neglect the basics, man. We
Hey,
really
Prim, you
do.
said it.
We
Prim, you
really
said it.
do.
You know what you said earlier, Prim? You said, this is what you said. You wanted to tread lightly and you didn't want to degrade the culture, right? You wanted to give the culture big ups, right? But
Mm-hmm.
but on this whole debacle, right? This whole situation, we wasn't the ones degrading the culture, yo. Right?
Mm.
So if you say a culture built a plane and they didn't, right? You're lying on them.
Yep.
A lie is the worst thing you can do, right? To a person, to lie on them,
Or a
right?
culture
To lie on
that
the culture. Come on, I didn't get that, Sabian. Can I get that? You want to finish it off, Sabian? Go ahead, brother.
you good.
No, go ahead. You good? Go ahead.
Nah, you good.
You should be able to pick up where I was going, yo. Come on, yo. You know,
I
finish.
really don't. I just
You got the idea. Go ahead.
Mm.
No, you
culture.
good. You
Uh,
know what I'm saying, Sabian. You know what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Nah, I really don't.
Oh shit! Well, you guys stop smoking weed then, because you fucking it up then. You supposed
oh
to be to pick
shit.
up. You supposed to be to pick up. I'm simply saying that the fact that we're willing to say exactly what the ancestors did and allow the ancestors to say what they did, I think that's the king right there. That's it,
Yeah.
right? And when you lie on them and say that they contacted the aliens and the aliens built the pyramids and they had light bulbs in the pyramids, you're lying on the culture. You have no idea what the culture is. So you're doing them a grave injustice, man. So we're not the
Yeah.
ones ever doing that, Preem. We're never marginalizing what they did. We're never saying they had things they didn't have. If they didn't have science, they didn't have science. If they didn't have that regime of knowledge, the way you gather and put together knowledge, so what? They had a way of gathering knowledge.
Yeah.
They had their own regime of knowledge that allowed them to live successfully in nature and be the best at doing it in a particular time span, bro. What the hell is wrong with that, yo? If you won the Super Bowl 10 times, what the hell is wrong with that? You won the Super but if you didn't have Lamar
Yeah.
Jackson and did it, then you didn't have Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Jesus, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I mean, come on, bro. That's all we ever said. They thought that when we said that they didn't have science, that was some kind of thing you look at them, you being like white people. No, bro, we saying that's not how they gathered their knowledge. They didn't separate their
Yeah.
deity. You said it in your presentation, which was very, very clear, bro. First of all, they didn't have enough time on Earth. That's a main factor. They wasn't on Earth long enough to get it, right?
Yeah.
And then they were so successful, and you use a particular word, right? That they success got in their own goddamn way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like Jordan. He done won 6 championships. Now he older. You know what I'm saying? He won 5. No, he won 3. He missed a year, and he came back. So now, did he try to play the same way he played them first? No, he didn't, yo. He started playing with his back to the back. He made an adjustment. Suppose he say, shit, I'm Jordan, I don't gotta do it. He might not have won them next 3 championships, yo. He didn't get in his own way. He changed. The Egyptians
Hmm.
wasn't willing to change their very system, right, of keeping the order, the universe in Mayat, right, stop them from moving to the next step, bro. And that should
Yeah.
not be hard to understand. That's not an issue. It's not a problem. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna send this. I'm gonna put this book in the back chat. I mean, in the Discord. I think I sent it. Said, um, um, Science in the Roman Empire by Richard Carrier.
They ain't have signs, did they?
No, he said that is what he said. That he said Christians killed science, stopped science for 1,000 years, and he did a video today
Dark
on
Ages.
I might
where
disagree with that.
he was talking about the Dark Ages, and he was saying this is what
I gotta agree
led
with that.
them not advancing.
Now
And
I done had some better works on that than that. But go ahead though.
but
Go ahead.
he was basically agreeing with you and saying that
I ain't say that. I ain't say the crit. Don't say that. I ain't say that.
he was saying the spirituality got in the way of them advancing science. The gods, everything was given over to the gods. The atheists, those who wanted the naturalists, those who wanted
But
to look at the
see,
world, were looked at as heretics.
but you can't paint them. You can't paint them as with a broad brush because it's certain orders of priesthoods that's known for academics. The Jesuits is one. Um
Academic is different than
the
science.
hold on, you know that's what I mean. They got a background in science. Like you gotta
That
and
is all
it's
post.
oh my God, and it's us. Hold on, damn, I'm
That
about to
was
say
all
us like I'm
focused
still
on
at prep. It's
That
the
was all
Jesuits
focused.
and LaSalle is another order too, but I
Yeah,
forget
Northwest.
offhand. I forget, but it's a couple of orders of priests that historically they've known honestly they're the ones with the Catholic University. St. Joseph's, LaSalle University, things of that, Georgetown, DePaul. You know what I mean? You're talking about Jesuits, and
That's all
you're talking
saying.
about orders of priesthoods that have centuries of tradition of providing education. So I get where you're coming from, but you can't, if you're going to tell it, you got to kind of balance it out.
So
Yeah.
again,
So
it,
when
Hold on,
after the
Cedric. I got that
epistemic
book, yo.
rupture,
I got the book. Hold on. It's called The Fate of the Roman Empire by Karl Popper. He talks about this very issue about how they just didn't care about science. It was magic to them. Go ahead.
Mhm.
magic, bingo. That's exactly what Richard
So
Carrier
yeah,
said. It was.
it is post it is
Go ahead. Go ahead. Said my
yeah,
fault.
post discovery of the New World, the collapse of the epistemic regime, where the church was losing authority. They heavily invested in the science of the day. They needed to stay relevant, and that's why their institutions were the ones funding most of the science. After a while, it is a classic case. If you can't beat it, join it. Once the Royal Institute were established and they became independent, the church was forced into adopting academic rigor as well, because they wouldn't have stayed relevant.
So
And
again,
seeing that they had more funding, they were able to invest more, right? Because they monopolized the ship travel, etc. All of the information was funded via the church institutions, right?
when we
So
think about
in the late 1500s and early 1600s, the church yeah, invested heavily in science
right,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's
by
15,
means of the
16.
Jesuits and Dominic, yeah, the Dominican order, the Jesuits and the Dominican order were the two primary rings. The Dominican order was primarily responsible for medical and healthcare, and that type of activity.
Yeah, and the time I was talking about was before the
The
15th,
Jesuits into the
13th century. The time I was
yeah
talking about, it was before then.
Talking about the
yeah
Roman
that
Empire,
when
right?
the
What you
church
talking about?
had
The Roman Empire,
yeah
right?
when the
I'm
church
talking
had
about the empire.
yeah
Talking
So
about the Roman
the Roman
Empire. What you
Empire.
talking about, Cedric? You talking about the Roman Empire, Cedric?
if-
He muted.
Oh, Cedric, where you at? We can't hear you, bro. You
Uh,
moved up.
sorry,
I think.
I'm talking about specifically after the epistemic rupture with the discovery of the New World. Prior to that,
Oh,
Mhm.
so
the
you well,
Roman
how the hell you jump
Empire, the
from?
Dark Ages, they weren't into.
right, because this is
You
a
saying right? I'm confused, yo. You gonna holler out right?
because what Taylor said
I'm trying to
is
understand what
true.
he's saying, yo. Damn, yo, you say right, right to what? I'm trying to
Hold
figure it
on,
out.
let me explain.
America.
You
All right,
you
go ahead.
said it. You said it. They thought
prior
it was
to
three
prior to the
in the Roman
prior to the
Empire.
discovery of the New World, prior to the
We having a connection issue.
No, we not. You trying to explain
I
something
go
that
can't
he
ahead,
I
can
Cedric.
can't
explain.
I can't hear said fully. So there's a connection issue going on.
I'm saying I was asking Cedric a question, yo. Because I got slightly confused. Me and
No,
you was
I'm
talking about the
saying
Roman Empire.
yes, and I said the only after the epistemic rupture, the discovery of the New World, when the authority of the church started to fall away, then they resorted to heavily investing in science via the Jesuits and the Dominican order.
Mm-hmm.
The Roman Empire?
No, he said after. He
No,
said after. He
The
said
resident
after the discovery of the New World.
All right, okay. I'm just trying to figure out how we get from the Roman Empire
Yeah.
to discover the New World. I was talking about how the Romans.
No, because Sabio brought up Christianity. Remember, he
so
brought up
Romans.
Christianity.
So I think he
He,
was
he
saying the Roman Christians, Sabio, you talking about that, right? Who you talking
yes,
about?
and this is what you have to think about when you
Oh
think
yeah.
about
Okay, so that's why you were saying that they messed it up. Because they wasn't
it.
caring about it in
There was
Rome.
only three continents to them, and they were inhabited by the descendants of Ham, Shem, and Japan.
Oh
And
man.
on the other
you,
side
you
of
went-
Ah,
the
come on,
Nile,
bro.
Come on, man. You
Come
switching it,
on,
y'all. Yo, help
Sabio.
me out, Cedric. Come on, don't let me down
Come
this hill,
on,
Cedric. I'm trying to
man.
y'all done threw me.
he
Y'all niggas can jump from the what the hell is going on?
Oh man.
this is what
from
you've
the
been
Roman
teaching.
Oh man.
Empire. The
The
Roman
three,
I'm
are y'all
staying right.
serious, yo?
I'm
I
staying
don't
right
know.
in step with
No,
He
man. No,
was
you
cool up.
not.
He was cool right until then. He hit us with a curveball
Yeah,
right
you hit
there.
us with a curve. I'm trying to
He
stay
put he
within the
put he put some of that on it. He put some of
I
that on
know.
it.
No, you know what, yo? We can actually move out. Listen, let's just move forward, yo. Let's just
Yeah.
move forward. Let's get out the Roman Empire. Let's get out of that. Let's move to where Cedric was at. Go ahead, Cedric. So the discovery of the new world. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah,
The
so
world brought
I was just adding to the conversation. Xavier was right, and you are also right. And during the Roman Empire, they considered science magic, and the authority was purely the state, the church, right? And that was considered the Dark Ages. The discovery of the New World threatened the authority of the state and of the church. And at that point, you got the can't beat them, you must join them. And then is when the church started to invest via the Jesuits in education and in science, right? They funded a lot of these expeditions. At a certain point, they were the first to get their hands on certain documents. So this is how they manipulated themselves in that position again. But prior to that, they had
Mhm.
no interest in science whatsoever.
Yep.
no,
But they got there though, to the point where priests discovering the Big Bang a couple hundred years later. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
it's a method to the madness. I honestly, if I didn't experience it, I would be, you know what I mean? I would be skeptical, but just seeing how they get down and how rigorous they are with their academic training and their curriculum and all of that type of stuff, man, they not to be played with.
Yeah.
It's a reason why they got a network of top-notch high schools and colleges all over.
Yeah, I
right.
went to a Catholic school.
And that's
So yeah,
because
I wouldn't characterize the Roman Empire as being part of the Dark Ages. I would actually say after the Roman Empire fell, and it wasn't because they didn't have science, right? It's because the people that had ransacked it actually couldn't administrate the empire. So I
Hmm.
would actually say Europe went into a dark age after the Roman Empire had fell, right? I'm saying later on,
one,
sometime in CE period, right? And I'm saying the dark ages really had nothing to do with them being ignorant. It just had a lot to, they don't even like to use the term. It basically had a lot to do with them not producing a whole lot of literature. They don't like the term because it's very negative, right? But I would not say the Roman Empire had a dark age. I wouldn't say that.
No, I don't
so
think
Not through
that.
my
Nah,
studies.
yeah, we agree with
so
that.
Yeah,
We
not
so
through
agree
my
with
studies.
that.
so
I'm
so
not gonna be able to, I
so
can't co-sign
so
that.
so from
Yeah,
so
because it was the after, because it was
because I
after the,
want to
because
know,
when you think about, oh my fault.
what time, because I need to know which time would you consider,
I'm not doing it. You need to figure it out.
No,
because
because all right, this because
when
you
I'm
gotta look
talking
at it
about
like this.
when I'm talking about the dark ages
What
would
you
be
talking
the
about, yo?
800 through
800 what? 800 what?
800
CE.
What?
No,
800 CE, um, right when uh the Islamic Empire started rising to power.
For the
Um,
Western Empire, yo? It's
Because
the
you know
5th
what?
and 10th century
Because you know,
CE.
hold
It's
on.
the
Let me
5th and 10th century BC, I believe.
because you gotta peep the normal Roman Empire. They say it fell around 500. I want to say, but
About around 470,
yeah, around.
476 CE, the
But
Western.
but hold up. But you also got to give them a
those,
couple
but,
extra
but,
hundred years
but they
because
but they
you got
still
you got it.
they were still but they were still in power. So no, they
No,
didn't fall.
hold on. You got to give the
It's the
church a
Byzantine
couple of,
Empire, right?
huh?
Being
Byzantine Empire is really the Roman Empire,
Right.
my correction.
That's what I was about to say. Constantinople,
All right, good.
because then you not only had the you had the Holy Roman Empire from Constantine, and you also had the Papal States in Italy. So you had you had they still had a power, but it just transformed to, like I said, the Eastern Roman Empire, and then the Papal
Western.
States
Uh-huh.
through the Pope and through the
Yeah.
office of the Pope,
right
they
in
maintained
the
power. So they
Constantinople.
still had it. So, but what you saying, that's real
Mm.
because again, if you take it from 470 and then you get the Holy Roman Empire, that gives you a few hundred years, and then after that, that takes you into the Dark Ages.
Yeah, the Byzantine Empire is really the Roman Empire. Y'all
Right.
just quote
Yep.
me in the middle of reading a book on Rome. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoy reading about the Roman Empire
Yeah. So
because
yeah,
of their
that's kind of
technology, and it's amazing to me because they focus wasn't on science at all, and that
yeah.
proves and verifies my point that you don't need fucking science to run the known world at the time. You just didn't, and so it's a misnomer to continue to say what people had and what they didn't have. They didn't fucking care about science, but yet they still had one of the largest empires on planet Earth. Simple as that. Explain that shit. You get it? You got to be able to explain that. Since everybody want to act like science, make you know science don't make you do shit. That's not what it is. It's a whole different way of gathering knowledge, and Cedric made that shit crystal clear. It's a way of gaining knowledge, yo. Void of your gods, void of man being an authority, whether that man authority be because he made the damn gods up, or whether that authority be because he philosophizing, like we argue with a wild ass pseudo philosopher today for damn near 6 hours. He's a pseudo philosopher. Ray, what's his name? Rashi? How you say his name?
Roy Chess.
Roy
Roy
Chess.
Chess.
He's a
Roy Chess
pseudo philosopher. Just everybody, this is it. He's a pseudo philosopher. Don't let him fake you out in your nearest YouTube channel, because he's a pseudo philosopher for the record,
boy.
and he
That
could not
boy.
read that word purely. The word purely killed him. It killed him.
Yes, it did.
Roy
Yes, it
Checkers.
did.
So Roy Checkers, I got introduced to Roy Checkers on Q Butter's channel.
Oh man.
And I knew he was a pseudo philosopher then. I
There you go.
knew he didn't know shit about philosophy. He was a philosopher.
Why you keeping the secret for this long? Why you do us like
I
that?
did it. I tried to tell y'all. Y'all
No,
just
no, you
don't
tried to
listen to
tell it,
me.
man. That cat.
Nobody listens to
Oh my
me.
God.
Nobody
Oh man,
listens.
that
Cedric, get
boy,
him. Cedric,
man,
get
that
him.
boy good. That
Where
boy
you at,
special.
Cedric?
Hey Roy,
That boy
Call
did
him
special.
I tell
Cedric.
you about
Call
Roy
him
Checkers?
Cedric.
Hey Roy, did I tell you about Roy Checkers?
Call him Cedric. Call
Listen,
him Cedric.
I had Roy figured out the first time he jumped up on the panel, and Roy didn't figure out that we actually know what we're talking about, and he
No,
needed.
Savion didn't try to tell us nothing. Don't let him cap on us like that.
Hey,
He's
didn't I
capping right
tell
now.
y'all Roy Checkers was? Hey, didn't
He's
I say
capping.
Roy Checkers don't know what he's
Cedric,
talking
come on, you
about?
gotta help me out, Cedric. Is he capping?
Man,
Don't let him
am I capping?
gaslight you, Savior. Don't let him gaslight you,
He's
Savior.
capping.
I know what the truth
Somebody
is.
gotta stop this, man. Hey, look, somebody gotta stop this, man.
Hey,
He always, that's what I said. You
my
always, that's what you
pseudo
said.
leader, my pseudometer. Hey, Unc, I said this a long time
He said
ago.
you shoot on, man.
My pseudometer,
I gotta use
my
that one.
pseudometer
Oh,
Oh man.
is
you definitely put
always
that in, yo. I like that.
my
Tsunami.
pseudometer is
That's
ping,
funny as a
ping,
motherfucker, yo.
ping, ping, ping. It's like a radar.
Yeah, that
Going
dude,
off.
dude.
Savior,
Whew.
Savior. That's it. You busted. You busted.
Yeah, he came
Now,
on. I
stop
came in the
lying.
Discord
Yeah,
today.
stop capping, yo,
I
cap.
came in
Going,
the
Roy
Discord
Chess.
today and
So
was like,
Tuesday
what the
was
hell
over
is
Capping.
going
on Q
on?
Butter watching me put Roy Chess in his place, talking about talking about philosophy. Like he don't
No,
I
you
know he
didn't.
knows
No,
nothing
you let
about
him come around here. No, you let him hang around and act like couldn't understand the word purely.
told him to go take some classes and come holler at.
Purely
You
pseudo.
I
ain't
told
tell us
him to
though,
go
yo.
take some
You tell us.
classes like in philosophy and
Didn't
come
tell us
holler.
that man was a pseudo philosopher, yo.
Yeah. Straight
We
up.
almost didn't go live. I said, yo, hit the button. Come on, man. Come on, yo. We got some work. We cannot argue this
Supposed
nigga.
to be earlier than this. God damn
Yeah.
it. I gotta go to work in the morning.
Right.
Yo.
The nigga wanted us to read. He arguing with Cedric over some high complex idea. I say, yo, you can't even understand one sentence in the Wikipedia article. I'm not listening to you no more. You my man though now. I got it.
He convinced
Yeah,
that the whole scientific community is wrong and he's right.
The most ridiculous shit ever, yo.
But once I was like, man, at that point, it's like, man, how do you talk to it? How do you talk to a person like that,
You
man?
can't.
All the
You can't.
science is wrong.
You
You can't
can't.
really,
You
you
can't.
can't. You can't.
You can't.
You
Illusions,
can't.
illusions of grandeur. There's mental health issues obviously going on there.
Oh, you hit him
Mm-hmm.
Um,
with that.
Yep,
Ah!
yeah. Yep.
listen, Listen, you're hyper focused, very specific. You're making claims that are not true, and they're easily tested, right? If you are grounded in philosophy, there are certain aspects of philosophy that are prerequisites. Philosophy of mind. If you don't understand how the mind works, then you are not engaging in no field of philosophy. When I ask him, okay, philosophy of time, like, you are not grounded in any
Yeah.
formal
I
philosophy
actually
at all. You have one prerogative, is to get people to engage in a 2,000-year-old outdated format of coming to knowledge, which is deductive reasoning. Can't answer a simple question. All birds fly. You're implying you're engaging in data collection. You have engaged in enough deductive reasoning to know that that statement is false. So you cannot operate in 2025 or 2026 on a metric of deductive reasoning. You are ludicrous. The scientific method is going to prove you wrong.
I
So
asked that man
Hey,
about
at this,
abductive reasoning, and he didn't know what abductive reasoning was. I
no,
knew
he
he didn't know
doesn't.
what he was talking about.
he don't, and he argue you down that you don't know when, like, dog, you so far off base you don't even know the basics, like you, and that's the thing, you come in arrogant telling everybody else that they're wrong when you really don't even understand the basic foundational concepts. And touching on your mental health thing, when he really started getting into it, and I knew what he was talking about as far as the forms. I just wanted him to just to see how he articulates it, but he couldn't even articulate it to the point where it makes sense. That's the
Nope.
thing, man. When you really understand a concept, you don't have it's a saying. You don't understand something that you can't break down to, you know what I mean, to the point where it's understandable to a person
Gotta
that
give you
doesn't
that.
have any knowledge of
And then
what
I break
you're
down
talking
something
about.
Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
didn't
complex.
well,
say
the
I didn't say
the
he had mental health issues. I didn't say that. Cedric said that. I ain't say that.
That nigga got
I,
mental
I I
health
just
issues.
think I just think I
I've
just
been
think he
telling
can't
you he
read.
got
I
mental
just
health
think he
issues.
can't read. I just think he can't
I've
read.
been saying he had
This
mental health
man
Yeah, I
issues
ain't
decided
saying that.
that
He just can't
day
read.
one.
all of
all the
science,
science is
the
wrong.
Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy,
Was wrong.
his own book that he
Book
presented as a source
was
is
wrong.
all wrong. They don't know what
And that's
they're
the other
talking about.
thing.
Yeah,
That's
you
the other
got him with his
thing.
own book.
But even his book agreed with us.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That's
That was
good.
a
But
heartbreaker.
he talking about no. I said, hold up, bro. I'm literally reading what your book said.
Frank,
That was a
do you
heart.
know how many times I have done that to him? I had to teach this man. This man didn't know about
Really? So
the
you ain't tell us
island.
though? Why you ain't
Uh,
tell us, yo? Why
uh,
you let this man be over here for a month and you not
This
tell
because
us?
man,
Did you,
this
did,
man
did you
has
Savio
met him
man
on a
know.
about
pseudo channel?
Savio
Did you
knew.
met him on a pseudo
Savio knew.
channel? You let us argue with this nigga for a month, knowing you met him on a pseudo channel, and I can't believe you, yo. You know what? It's your fault, bro.
Oh man.
uh-huh.
Hell no,
I had to
hell
Savior,
no.
don't
teach
let
All
him
that
You
down.
time,
supposed to
really,
let the bros
Savio?
him
know,
about the
man.
Really,
Spice
Savio?
Island.
You supposed to let the bros
I had
know,
to teach that man
Savio.
about the
Cap,
Spice
cap,
Island.
You
I
supposed
had
to
cap,
to
let the
teach him
bros
about
know,
the
man.
Spice
cap. No,
Island.
you
Listen,
cap,
I had to
cap,
teach him about
cap,
the Spice Island.
cap,
I had to
this
cap,
teach
man,
him that
this man
slaves went to
accused
the
me
island
of
first.
cherry
cap,
picking a textbook.
cap.
No, I'm not capping.
No,
This
I
Teach
man
that
believe
man
you. No,
about
I
the
believe you
Spice
knew it
Island.
was a pseudo, but you let us do.
This
You let
man
this man
accused me
relish in
of
pseudoism,
No,
cherry
yo.
I
Savio.
picking
thought
a
y'all knew.
Savio
textbook.
protecting
You
I
pseudos.
thought
protecting
y'all
pseudos,
knew.
yo.
No,
No,
I
You know what I
no,
thought
no,
mean?
y'all
no.
knew. It ain't my fault.
You
I thought y'all
protecting
knew.
pseudos,
I
bro.
thought y'all knew. I thought y'all
And
had a
Savio.
speedometer and
Let me
y'all
let me find
speedometers
out you a
work.
rest haven
Yep.
for pseudos.
I thought y'all
Savio.
Savior,
speedometers
don't
What'd you
let
work.
say,
them
yo?
gaslight you, Savior. From the moment you
Let me
bite, they're
find
not
out.
gonna stop, Savior. Don't
Nah,
let
he
them.
got me. He got us with that one. He said he turned it on us. He said, yo, he thought our shit was working. Our shit must have been broke.
Y'all must have been turned off or malfunctioning at the time or something. I don't know what it
Oh
Listen,
was.
boy.
Savior, he was caught early in the
Damn.
game. He was
Oh
caught
man.
early in the
Oh
game,
man.
and
And
he
I ain't know
just
what I was walking
listen.
in on the
This
server
man is
today,
I know, yo,
dog.
you
suffering
walked in
from
on a
mental health
10-hour
issues.
conversation, yo.
You're hyper focused. You can't explain the concept. You're lying.
I
You're
thought that was your
downright
man,
lying.
Cedric. Wasn't that your man, yo?
Who?
He can he can
Who?
he was on your show, yo. He never come on my show
Who?
with that bullshit. He
Nah,
can't.
nah. He came on my show and got beat up.
Yeah,
Who?
yeah, we argued with that man for, oh my God. I don't even what
Yo,
we
he made
arguing for.
Grant snap. Grant up here. I see you up here. Yo, that's
Yeah,
what made
yeah,
my
yeah.
day, bro.
Grant snapped
Grant
out on.
went off. Grant went off on my man. I was like, yo, he
He
got my
earned it.
man out of
He
character.
got Grant hot. He got Grant
So
hot.
hold on. Why you just say Sosa the one that vouched for him?
Oh my
Sosa didn't vouch
God.
for him. Sosa said he was a nut, yo, because he argued with him three
Oh
weeks ago.
man.
We argued with
Oh
him
my
3 weeks
God.
ago, yo. A nut.
Yeah. And he
A
came back
nut.
with the same nonsense, the same speed.
And it
That's
was
why I
hard.
crashed out on him because he like, bro, we went down this rabbit hole already. You don't know
It was
what you're
hard.
talking about. How can you admit to not being grounded in the philosophy of science? He had claimed we're using terms incorrectly. How?
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, he got broke apart, yo. He'd never think that he got broke. He got beat
And
up.
Roy Checkers. I'm the one who call him Roy Checkers because he plays checkers. His brain is
I'm
like
very
playing a
disappointed in
fourth
you,
grader
Sabio.
with a game of checkers. For
I'm
real.
very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you, Sabio.
Sabio was supposed to let us know, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could have saved my
It be,
voice.
it be your own people, man.
You
Yo,
know,
Grant was the shit of the whole night.
That shit was so funny, yo.
yeah,
What? What? Y'all had, man,
you
I was
had
dying today, man.
yeah,
Oh man.
you gotta send out the bat signal. You gotta go like caca, caca, pseudo, caca. You gotta give us the
What?
heads up because that was torture.
I mean,
Oh
hey,
man. This is
I
funny.
I
Damn,
tried.
man, I'm starting to feel away, man. People don't be wanting to argue with me in my presentations. I'm starting to think I'm doing something wrong.
Nah, you did a good job, yo.
Nah. When you don't get no argument, that means you seal the deal.
Shot him up. You blew their ass
Shot
up.
him up.
It
Shot
was
him up.
teaching. Nah, your tone, your pace, yo, the way you talk. You did a good job. I learned. It was good.
I
Yeah,
mean, good shit, good shit.
ain't no more really interjecting because
Faked them out.
we doing pedagogy over here. We actually teaching now. So at the point we're teaching, you need to stay within context. You need to articulate with regards to the subject matter. And most individuals either don't have the discipline to sit and listen to the presentation, or they're fixated on a particular point, and then they crash into that wall real hard, and they're starting to learn that you don't do that. It's no, we're not over here debating y'all. Y'all think you're on equal footing. We can have a conversation, but at the point you get belligerent, you are going to get dissected. And I think they're starting to realize that they're out
Yeah,
of
it's
their they're
crazy.
out of their they're out of their depth, right? They have no comprehension, and they come in here ready to fight. Bro, you're not equipped to fight nobody in this arena. We are doing scientific literacy. We are promoting science. There is no fight. So if you come in here to fight, science is undefeated. There is only one way this gonna end. Say goodbye to next of kin.
No,
You
no,
know what's
no.
frustrating them? You
No,
know what's
no. What's
frustrating me,
frustrating
Elder?
was your damn presentation, yo. You would almost make them sing like they had signs. You like, nope, they didn't have it. Then you move on. Yeah, I was like, damn, he gonna say it. Yeah, they was cool. They really did their thing. The Greeks was really popping. Yeah, I mean, they had the man. They was there. You know what? They didn't quite make it. Oh, the House of Wisdom takes us up. They was really cracking. They had it cracking. They couldn't spit the M5. Man, I was like, he gonna say it. He was like, up. But they didn't. That shit was funny as shit. Yo, you a wild guy for that.
I had to do it, man.
That shit was
I
crazy.
had
How
to
you?
do it, man.
He
Cause
said he
yo,
let us on. Yo, I was like, he gonna
but
say it. He gonna say it. And he was like, nope, they didn't really have it.
yo,
Nope.
you know
Oh
what's
my
crazy,
god,
bro?
yo.
That's
Yeah.
why. That's what made me. They made me take that stance because every time we having a debate, they quick to list off the shit they had. Well, they had this and they had this and they had this and they had that, and it kind of make you feel bad, kind of. But it's like, nah, I'm gonna do it in Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do it in a way where it's obvious I ain't being disrespectful in the heat of the moment because I might say something disrespectful. But but yeah, man. But that was my whole thing. That was like, yo, I really I gotta lay it out in a way that's not too in depth because we could have been here all night, but still get the point across and give a couple of examples, give a couple, lay out the concepts and give a couple of concrete examples and if somebody really want to push back, because we could go in depth, I could honestly do a presentation on each part. I could do a hunter gather presentation. I could do a because going through like all of the different species of human and all of that and what they brought, yo, that shit's fascinating, bro. But then of course, I could take the in-depth on Egypt. Same thing with Greece, with all of the different philosophers they got. The House of Wisdom, that's something that ain't really been tapped really as far as information wise, as far as what they actually did and on like an in-depth level. And of course, well, Cedric kind of killed the scientific revolution, but
Hey,
the other ones is ripe for the picking though, on some
hey,
real
Preem.
shit.
Hey, Preem.
Yo,
What are your thoughts on? I know we tend to stay in the sort of Mediterranean area. Is there a chance to sort of talk through what other parts of the world were doing, in particular the Chinese, that often is left out of this conversation, to sort of see that there's other groups of people who may not even be tapped into what is happening within the Mesopotamia and Mediterranean parts. Later on, they're beginning to sort of become enlightened, so to speak, and beginning to shift, even though they're not, you know, even though there's not this sort of tethering between these two groups. Is there a way to kind of see that this way of thinking is sort of springing up because
I
humans are.
would, I would definitely like to
I think that war
dig
has
deeper into it. It kind of like this one, kind of even because I was trying to, because all right,
I think they with
in the
their
way I
war.
was thinking, it was a broad topic, right? So I was trying to like narrow it down, but even dealing with the Arabia part, it kind of was pulling me to end this Kush with the numbers. You know what I mean? So even trying to
Mhm.
stay away from it, I couldn't help. The gravity of the topic was still pulling me that way. So I would
Mhm.
But
definitely like to examine more what Indus Kush did and
but
what China did
I
as far as their advancements. You know what I mean? Like,
I
you know
think
what I mean? Because we gotta like like the Chinese calendar, things of that nature. Like, what is that really based off of? You know what I mean? Like, I never really dug into all of that, but they was doing all of that stuff, and those two civilizations, they're still going on today. So we're talking other, you know what I mean? Egypt isn't the only civilization with 2-3 thousand years in.
the
So
friend.
I think we really do need to get more into them. But for this one, I couldn't get over there because I was just stuck on because I thought about it, but then having two more seconds messages, you see how long it was today. If I would have
Mhm.
added them, it would have been
Mhm.
that much more longer and a lot and less concise. And I was just trying
Wasn't
to
wasn't
I was trying to
that
get it
war?
in as quick as possible because I know this topic it could explode. It's tangents everywhere. So I had, you know what I mean? I was like, I didn't know if something was going to happen to where you know what I mean? Somebody was going to come in and then
Yeah,
choose to hyper focus on this one. And you know what
yeah.
I mean? So
I
it's like
wasn't.
I
Yeah, I
had,
wasn't. Yeah, totally agree. I wasn't trying. I wasn't. And I apologize. Maybe I didn't clarify. I wasn't saying you wanted to do it in this presentation. I thought the
oh yeah,
presentation
no,
was
I was
really
just
good.
speaking in general terms, just giving a
Yeah,
little insight into what I
I was
was
just saying
thinking.
if like if this is going to be an ongoing series, is there a
Mm.
way to sort of expand? By the way, I'm not here to take to sort of to tell you how to
I
use
would
your
be down to
time.
do it, bro. I would
Yeah,
be
I
down to
was
do
just
it. I would be
challenging you.
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
From what
Hey,
Because we don't get over there. We don't get over there a lot as far as history. For
You
some
you
reason,
you
no,
you know I went to China. It's called the Needham question. Remember?
uh-huh.
And I
Oh,
talked
what
okay.
about how during the scientific revolution in China, right,
Uh-huh. Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
far
you did.
way
Yeah,
more
yeah.
advanced than Europe
Uh-huh.
was with mature science. And that's called the Needham question. I talked about that. I did a
Yep,
show
you
on that.
did. You did.
I
You
could run
did.
that again. I could run that back again. Because the
Yeah, so
question is, why is it that China, right, without science, was able to be far more advanced than Europe was? That's wild, ain't it?
Because
And so you don't have
they
you don't
had some
need science to be
technology, boy.
advanced. Yeah,
Yep.
but you don't need that. That's the point, though, right? Because we kind of broke it all down. It's a way of getting knowledge. That science is not the only way to get knowledge, though,
Yep.
right? And I think that's the fatal mistake that people think we don't understand that, right? But the best way of getting knowledge, once you get it,
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Proof
is
is in the
damn
pudding.
science, right? The proof is in the pudding. That's why
Proof is in the
everybody
pudding,
went
man.
to it. That's
That
why
that
everybody
system.
went
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
Yeah, sink or
Yep.
swim, nigga. Either you mess with this or you done.
Yep.
Can
Yeah.
I ask
Yep.
you a question real quick?
I'm
Is
Go
the
listening.
ahead.
isn't the reason most of the East, like China, India, Japan, those nations, science stopped advancing was because of the feudal wars, the wars and things like that?
No,
Sometimes they didn't need to get like India. India got chemistry. Like a lot of
Yeah.
shit
No.
come from around the world. The Europeans were snatching a lot of shit, yo,
Yeah.
and then in the scientific revolution. That's a
Mm-hmm.
study unto itself, yo.
But
Remember
see,
I
you
talked
know,
about that?
we,
Yeah, I
we
remember.
yeah, because and even in that context, I touched on
You did, India. You
the
did.
Chinese, India and the Chinese
Yep.
dynasties
Yep.
back then. When I was talking about they changed dynasties about every 400 or 500 years,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
until the Mongols took over, they had like
Oh,
a
right.
cultural continuity. And even when the Mongols took over, they was kind of like preoccupied. They wasn't like trying to turn everybody into Mongols. They was like, you know what? We respect what y'all are, and they kind of kept
They
some
took
of the
shit, right?
Chinese traditions
Yeah, they
going
used all
on.
they shit. Whatever they
Yeah, you
conquered
know what I
something, they
mean?
took it and used it and respected
So
it.
they
Was
had
Attila?
yeah, even though they had all of them,
Yeah, they respected.
even
Yeah,
though
they
they had turmoil, they had cultural continuity. So that's how they was able to maintain their technological advances through the duration of their empire. To the point where that's where Europe got gunpowder from.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I mean, let's be real, that's where Europe got gunpowder from. So
yeah.
yeah,
it's
we can
you know what I
move.
mean?
But yeah,
That's a good idea though, Grant. We can dive right into
Yeah,
that
we could
different
go over there,
because
see,
it's a
it's
human endeavor, yo.
interesting.
It's a
Yep,
human
I know
endeavor.
it's
I love
interesting.
that
absolutely.
you
Yeah.
said the continuity, Preem. I think that's something that people miss. It's one of the
Mm-hmm.
things about the Chinese were, so they have this wonderful civil service test, correct? So in essence, they're always sort of, they're making sure that everyone who's making decisions understand their concept.
Mm-hmm.
Comes out of Confucius, and so it'd be interesting to hear your take and sort of how you present it. But I do think it's a good comparison point to kind of see how different groups are aggregating knowledge, and then
Mm-hmm.
building on that aggregation. Sort of how do they go about it? And I think it's a great exercise. So yeah, I'm excited. It was a great presentation. I think
Yeah,
your
I'll check
rhythm and
that
your
out.
pace and your the way you kind of went through, at least laying out the arguments, correct? These groups of people were doing this, but here's why it didn't reach where we are today. But
Mm-hmm.
it did a great job, and I think he was very very succinct.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, that's what I was shooting for. Cause, hey, man, it's not and I keep saying it, man. It's not like these concepts are like highly advanced or whatever. It's really basic. It's really ground level. But if we gonna be serious about it, like people really got to start looking at things in a different way, and yeah, because it's not like like this science thing, and I keep wanting to stress it. This science thing is not rhetoric based like like the religion stuff is and the philosophy stuff is. It ain't that. And you can't come to the scientific world with just rhetoric. You gonna say like he said today, like this from 2,000 years ago. Yeah, nigga, we know. You sound like 2,000 years ago, trying to exist in 2026. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna fly. It ain't gonna work. That stuff was abandoned and left where it was for a reason. You know what I mean? And the philosophers still making up stuff. That's why they got less than 1% of the degrees, because it's useless. All you can do with a philosophy degree is teach. That's it. If you ain't planning on teaching, what you gonna do with it? What you gonna
Yep.
do with it?
Also, I think if you're gonna do them individually, it's important to tie it all together again, because science didn't just
suddenly pop up out of nowhere in Egypt. I mean, in Europe. It didn't just formulate there. It's a long global inheritance
Oh, I
um,
know. Yep.
where science has grown out of. So I think it's important to talk about other societies. They mentioned in this valley. But I think also don't forget about the indigenous Polynesian culture. They also have some very deeply scientific navigators and things like that. I think that would be good to add to the list as well. But yeah, you did a pretty good job.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Yeah, gave me God, y'all gave me some ideas where I could keep it going, kinda. You know what I mean? I'll start digging, see what I could find, and I'll present it when the time is right. I ain't as fast as said though. Said throw these joints together like said throw these moments together like it ain't nothing. But it take me a little bit of that's residue from my old college days where
Gotcha.
I research all this stuff like a report, like a you know what I mean, like a paper, like a midterm or something like that. So that's what kind
Do
of
you
takes me.
would you suggest or position that ancient China in their practicality was more technically sound than philosophy based?
I gotta. I only know the surface because they kind of have a tradition. The Eastern tradition of philosophers is deep. It
It is
runs. It runs. You know what I mean? So they kind of did both. Um, they did have a lot of traditional religions, but they are traditionally atheists, a lot of them, because Buddhism is not Buddhism is not
religion.
a religion that has
Yeah,
a
no,
deity. You know what I mean? So I'm not. I think it'll be interesting. That's another aspect. Like, what role did spirituality play in their technology? Like, if
absolutely.
any, that would be interesting. So yeah. That's a good one. I think that's a good one. That's a good one to check out. I might do a little deep dive into that one. That sound real interesting because I always interested in this Kush because that region is crazy. That
Yeah,
region
yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy. That always been. So,
Yeah, the ancient
but
India
they
and the
had it,
Hindus.
but they had an underrated one of the underrated
Yeah,
civilizations. Like China even gets mentioned more than them. A lot of people don't mention them. So, and Japan was kind of its own thing. So yeah, so that'd be just a far east version of what I did today. That'd be interesting. I'm gonna see
yeah.
what
I
I can
think
do.
I think people don't realize. Ancient China was more so technically sound. Like they focused on what they could produce out of the knowledge that they had. Whereas in ancient India, with the Hindus and the Indus Valley, it was more philosophical. And you see that in their mathematics. You see that
Hmm.
in their expansive research of Sanskrit and linguistics. So I feel like you had two you know different groups
Hmm.
in the East, but their focus is different. Their cultural focus is different.
Yeah, cause like China, the stuff they did with agriculture,
Hmm.
like in the way they was able to stabilize their food supply because they always been like a heavy population country. So
Absolutely.
like the way they went about that and the level of organization that they had back then. Because you got to think, you talking horse and buggy time back. You know what I mean? Like before that, and they had a lot of real estate to like administer.
Hmm.
It's a challenge today, but imagine being back then when they didn't have the technology that that we have at our disposal today. They was able to control a vast territory. So yeah, there's some powerful cats, man. Powerful cats back in the day. And just Indus Kush is just underrated. India is
It
just
is. It
underrated.
is.
They
Yeah.
really underrated. They really get no mention with the when you talk about the ancient civilization. So that's
Yeah. I always tell people like when you think about mathematics, like the Hindus, the Vedas, they came up with the concept of zero. They came up with the concept of decimal places. and
Yeah,
algebraic thinking and
yeah,
trigonometry.
yeah. We
Like,
use their numbers now, so yeah,
absolutely, all of that came from the Hindus. So
yeah.
yeah, I think they definitely don't get enough shine.
So yeah, though, but yeah, man. All right. I don't know about y'all. Said it's getting late, man. I gotta get up, Brody. Y'all be going all night. It's said.
Yeah,
Is they
yeah,
still
this
there?
is
Is y'all
your
still
show.
there?
This is your show. When you say it's over, it's over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
when
I'm
you
getting
go, we
tired.
go, Negro.
I'm slowing down. I'm slowing down.
Yeah, open
I
your
ain't get it.
eyes up,
I ain't
yo.
get
Open your
it.
eyes
Roy
up. Open
Chess
your.
ain't show up. Roy Chess ain't show up to argue with me. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, he ain't had
No,
nothing
no, he
left,
ain't
yo.
doing that.
Yeah, we picked them apart, yo. Wasn't nothing left, yo.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. That was it though. I hope everybody got something out of it. And till next time, I got my assignment for the next one. So I
Good pace. Good pace on the show,
you know
bro.
what I
Good
mean?
pace.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, so we good, we good money. But
All right,
yeah,
bro.
that's it.
Peace.
Pseudo killers, man. Pseudo killers, we doing it. Yeah, I mean,
All day.
I'll
scientific
be back
literacy.
tomorrow with another one.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
continuing with the philosophy of mind. We diving into dualism tomorrow. What does it mean? What are the components of it?
Said you
And
cut that man off. Said you cut that
oh,
man off.
oh, man. I'm sorry, Pim. I'm sorry,
oh
Pim.
no, you didn't. I'm good. I was cool. Shit,
Shot that
I'm
man
glad he
off the
started
track.
talking. Hey, don't let Ankh start, man. He messing with you, man. Don't let
God
Ankh
killer, you got
start.
the flow, God killer. What
I
you
don't
got
want no
coming up?
floor. Go ahead,
What you
close it
got
out,
coming
floor.
up tomorrow
Go
morning? What you got coming
ahead.
up tomorrow morning?
I don't know.
Oh
I'm
man.
up late. I might not be able to get up tomorrow morning, yo. You know,
Oh man.
shit. I don't know. I don't
Oh
know.
my goodness.
Mess with Preem and crazy as the pseudo philosopher we had
I
today
know,
threw us
right?
off, yo.
I'm staying out of the Discord tomorrow because I got to put
Oh,
my presentation together. I'm not
oh
hanging with
man.
y'all for 10 hours arguing with
Oh
a nut.
Yeah,
man.
that was too much,
That's
man. That
Alex
was too
P.
much,
Cutin.
man.
That man, that's Alex right there, yo.
Grant get the gold medal
Grant
for the day.
killed the gold
Grant get
medal,
the gold
yo.
medal for the day.
Yeah.
Man, he dog walked him so bad he didn't
Oh
even
my
realize he
god.
was getting dog walked. That's
I
What?
how
That
know,
was
crazy that
right?
man. That
was.
was the yo. You caught Grant at the end of the mission, yo. You should have caught him
Oh,
at the
God.
beginning and the middle.
Yeah,
Shit,
that was wild. Oh
And
my
I'm
man.
god.
trying to tell me, try
Yeah.
to tell me I need to be civilized. Are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
out of
Grant.
your mind?
Hey, yo, Grant.
Oh
Grant, that
man.
was so hard today in premium, yo. We could not.
Yeah, that was dude was because I'm thinking we
Yo.
having a real conversation. I was trying to come in sub in all nice, man. After a while, I was like, man, fuck you, nigga. That dude bring it out of you. He talented.
Yeah, he
He
was scam.
talented
Yeah, he talented. He was
like
scam. Yeah,
bird in the wire. He bring it out
scam.
of you.
Oh yeah, he scammed us, yo. We thought the man was actually talking about that
What?
man scammed us, yo. That
Oh
sentence killed him.
man.
The
Ain't had
word purely killed him, yo. Killed him.
oh man, he ain't
Purely,
had
we
no
knew it. The pseudos get
oh
stuck on the
man.
one word.
One word got him, purely. I'm gonna read that. Hey, Tight, what Titans at TV? Hey, yo, you got a straight dedicated pseudo philosopher did a presentation on your channel.
I know.
Cap, yo, he
Who let
capped
him do
y'all
a
out.
who let him do a presentation? And who
Titan
was in the
T,
audience?
Titan, right here in the chat. You in the chat, yo.
Mm, mm, mm.
Trust me. Is a dedicated pseudo, bro. He's a
Oh
pseudo
Dedicated.
man.
philosopher, yo. We caught him cheating, yo.
Pseudo philosopher.
Yeah, he
And
stepped. Well, how
that's
you say
hard to
cream? He
do.
stumbled on the word. What word couldn't he understand? It killed him, bro.
Purely. He didn't stumble,
Purely.
he fell flat on his face. Bah!
Purely. He don't understand what purely
You don't
meant in the
understand what purely
concentration
meant,
of
yo.
purely.
Yeah,
Fucked him
killed
up.
him. Fucked him.
My bad. Oh damn, my bad. This got me thinking we on the Discord. Damn.
Yo, that sentence killed him, yo. That we talking Wikipedia, yo.
Multiple times though.
It said
We
Aristotle
read it for the
purely.
multiple times, and every time he was like, "No, I say this."
It said we was like, what, yo?
This nigga said
Ah,
Chat
man.
GPT was wrong.
Yeah, that was crazy.
He said Chat GPT can't read.
Yeah, we put the sentence in the chat. We say, what does this sentence mean, yo? He was like, yeah, it was basically saying that such and such use both things. He thought the word purely meant, hey man, he was using all of deductive reasoning. No, bro, that's not what it's saying. It's saying he wasn't using it all by himself. Crazy, yo.
All right, folks. Peace out. Hope y'all enjoyed it, man. I'll be back.
Yes, sir. I'll be back tomorrow, 4:30 with another set talk. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. And y'all know.
They saw us. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. Pseudo gon' die. They saw us. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. Who do you believe in? People bringing misinformation when that information ain't disinformation. That's disinformation. Gotta know the difference in information. Get information with the pseudo killer army hunting pseudo. Cause you gotta train your mind to fight against them pseudo judo. People with the scholarship salute, we give them kudos. But the people with that look of shit, we look and see straight through those like telescope. If you ain't speaking fast, we gotta tell them folks and let them know the truth of. You bringing malinformation to blast, then you the Ku Klux. Like say, don't talk me to death, bro, what the proof of? Good juju chillin', why you wanna go way bad juju up? Shalom boy got the tank in the cut. I'm in Sosa world plotting on the kick though with Kent. Come in Tiffany gave me the pseudo names on the list and said went and got the low. Anthony got him in the scope, Gullah and Gozy make sure DNA ain't a problem for them folks. Cause a pseudo gon' die, they saw us. I'm a pseudo killer, intellectual sunsling. I'm a